Hari Om. So you all can hear clearly. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahavid Yangaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. ठंड लग रहा है कि गर्म लग रहा है? थोड़ा सामने आ जाओ. Hope you are all doing well. Can somebody remind me where we stopped last week? Adhikari. Once the Adhikara Nirnaya is done, Adhikara Nirnaya means a decision on who is the most eligible one. In that eligibility, we will see that there is clarity given. All our scriptures, all our shastras, they very profoundly state that right in the beginning, right in the Adhikara Nirnaya. Wait a second. I'm trying to open up a particular shloka as a reference. So, uno momento. In whether it is Tattva Bodha, basic text, Atma Bodha, or a little advanced Viveka Chudamani, or the very advanced Prauda Grantha like Brahma Sutras. The first and foremost standpoint with which they begin is, say, for example, Brahma Sutra. I'll come back to Tattva Bodha a little later. Athato Brahma Jignasa. You take Bhakti Sutras, Athato Bhaktim Vyakhyasyaamaha. Atha and Ataha indicate to the Adhikara Nirnaya. Who is the Adhikari? To put it in a simple order, when a cop pulls you off the traffic, what is the first thing that they do? Ask for your license and registration. What does license first establish? Having a license. Eligible to drive or not? Uneligible driving in itself an offense. Do you understand the seriousness of it? How many of us are riding on the traffic of life with or without eligibility, and what kind of an offense is it? And strange that we have lived almost 2/3 of our life not knowing whether we are eligible or not. In Vedanta Shastra, to learn, to assimilate, and to live that value, what are the adhikaris? First and foremost, Viveka. What does Viveka mean? In our colloquial language, when we say Viveka, what does Viveka mean? In this country, that word has been very indiscriminately used. That it carries a negative connotation to it. Oh, you discriminate. Who the heck in this world does not discriminate? If you don't have discrimination, then you are Pashuvat. I would not. Lower than Pashu. Because Pashu also does discriminate. Now, what does discrimination involve? There is an evaluation process. Evaluate. What is the evaluation process? Should I? Should I not? Do I? Do I not? That eternal question, to be or not to be. What work of Shakespeare is it in? One of the streets next door. Hamlet. Even when she was sitting right there was a lot of evaluation happening. Is the vent going to hit me here? I don't want to be sitting right there. I want to sit somewhere there, and yet not. There was an evaluation process. Discrimination. Before I started, as soon as I turned that thing on, what was the first thing that I did, which every speaker should do? Evaluate and find out, does it work? Right? But what should be the baseline to which we constantly anchor ourselves in to make that evaluation? That has to be clear as well. Therefore, Goswami Tulsidas ji in Ramcharitmanas says very beautifully, Binu satsanga vivekana hoi. Without satsanga, there is no viveka. There should be some constant that you anchor to. That constant in life is called values. What is the value behind it? In physics, chemistry, math, there are such constants. For simplicity of it, I will take one constant 22 by 7. Right? What is that constant called? Gravity. 9.8. नहीं, 9.8 बाद में क्या है? किलोमीटर्स पर सेकेंड है, किलोमीटर्स पर आवर है, meters per second square. That is very important. It has been drilled deep into me that whenever my father, whenever he would say, what is gravity? I would say 9.8. अंडे हैं कि गधे हैं? He used to immediately ask. So I have to say meters per second square. Otherwise that 9.8 doesn't have a comprehensiveness in its answer. So that has been drilled deep. मार के सिखाया. There are some constants. And with those constants in place, we have something to anchor ourselves in. For formulas or whatever hypotheses in life as well, those constants are called values. What is the difference between a value and a virtue? Values, when seen being practiced, becomes a virtue. We don't say a value person, a virtuous person. When does it become a virtue? When you imbibe, stand firmly rooted in, and as your second nature, that value expresses without you having to put extra effort. It seamlessly flows through your thought, word and deed. Then it becomes a virtue. That's the constant. Virtue becomes a expression of that constant, or an action or word guided by that constant. So that constant is required, anchoring into which I evaluate and come to understand, to decipher, to discriminate. Now what is it that has to be discriminated here? एकम सत तद व्यतिरिक्तम सर्वम अनित्यम. एकम सत नित्य वस्तु, तत् व्यतिरिक्तम सर्वम अनित्यम. There is one truth which is called the existential reality. The rest of it all is called anityam. Anityam, that which is impermanent, appears to exist but does not in reality. The closer we are to Sat, the closer we are to our peace within. The farther away we are from that Sat Vastu, the more agitated we are. You know, the children's park has this where I don't know what to call it, it goes round. It's not a swing, it is not a slide, it goes round. 4 people or some merry-go-round. So you stand in the middle. If you stand in the outer edge, you will fall. So don't experiment. Standing in the middle, do the experiment that while it is spinning, spread your hands and pull your hands. When you spread your hands, what happens? किसी ने एक्सपेरिमेंट नहीं किया? No, 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 you don't. Sit standing in the center, closest to the center. No, you don't need to hold. In small spins, you don't need to hold. When you expand your hand versus when you pull your hands. So सबको homework. हाँ, जाके पार्क में एक्सपेरिमेंट करो. हाँ, I'm not talking at 40 miles per hour. Just a little spin and try. The other way around, I think. And it reduces the speed. So it's not only rooted in the center, but also rooted in the center, expand to the entire universe, you will feel a complete balance and in a very rhythmic pattern. You become self-centered, having reached the center, it topples you out. So self-centered in the centering doesn't match, doesn't help. So rooted in that, what is it that I do, what is it that I say, what is it that I interact with, how I interact with has to be rooted from that center. There are a couple of words which have lost its sense of direction, purpose, meaning, depth. And one such word is sorry. We just use it. We have stopped meaning it. Thereby, when we really truly mean it, when we have to end up using it, it doesn't really convey. हर चीज के लिए सॉरी, हर चीज के लिए सॉरी. That we keep doing the same mistakes again and again and again in spite of saying sorry. When you say sorry and you mean it, what is the onus? The onus on us is, I am really sorry, I will change, this shall not happen again. Isn't that what it has to convey? Yes or no? हाँ, हम टेक्निकली ही बात कर रहे हैं. सुपरफिशियल करते हैं इसीलिए उसका वैल्यू गया है, मैंने कह दिया है. So in all its technicality, it is that it has a value only when we mean to say that I truly have inconvenienced you and I will, the onus is on me, I'll take the responsibility, this shall not happen again. That's what it has to convey. But time and again, what does our life experiences teach us? We become experts at repeating the same mistake again and again. What is the first shloka of Bhaja Govindam? Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Moodha Mate. Not only that we make mistakes, we are not ashamed of it anymore. This is who I am. And continue to sing songs on it. Oops, I did it again. चलो एडजस्ट कर लो. Viveka in its practice is when I discriminate that which is necessary, that which is required, that which is tied down to that value system, anchored in that value system, that there is no scope that I give myself wherein I can falter from here on. If I do, I ensure that it is not repetitive mistakes again and again and again. If that viveka is not in application, then there is mudha or aviveka. What is the proof that we are living vivekavanta life? That there are least mistakes. Subtler than that, the ability to not repeat the same mistake again and again. And don't be like my Balavihar kids. Suddenly say, okay, we will make new mistakes. But since they understand the concept, I said, yes, make new mistakes, but don't repeat them. So you will be wiser. If it is only your tongue that is being wiser, it's quite intoxicating. तभी तो उसको बड वाइजर बोला है कि नहीं? नशा चढ़ता है कि नहीं उससे? हाँ. It's just speech and no application of it, then there is no. Now here the viveka is for the subtlest, wherein I can very clearly weed out all that which is a projected reality and tie into that which is the substantial reality, that which is the substratum of everything. Now what will happen when this viveka intensifies? It necessarily should reflect as vairagya. What is the sign of viveka? We are all sitting here. By the time you go out, the entire front, entire road, everything is wet. What is it indicating? That when we were inside, it must have rained. Indication. If there is viveka, what is the indication? It should reflect as vairagya. Vairagya means dispassion. Then what about the passions of our life? Then your viveka is not strong yet. Dispassion. Dispassion to what? That is also important. So there was somebody that used to come even after their children graduated to the satsangs and volunteering. I was going into the Patel brothers, he was coming out of the Patel brothers, so I stopped him right there. I said, "Bhai, kem cho? I don't see you anymore." Swamiji, you always insisted on the Viveka, Vairagya, Shamadamadi, Shatsampati. After the Viveka went in, now it is reflecting as Vairagya. I said, badi achhi baat hai. I said, what are you Vairagya to? He said, to Satsanga. Isn't that what happens when you tell or reach out to your kids and tell them what is the value based and what do they have dispassion towards? To you, to your words. You come this direction, they will go that direction. We don't want to even intersect. मिलेंगे तो कोई शुरू कर देती है आजकल, मिल नहीं बंद. We have done that with our when we were that age. Supposing there was a teacher who always used to tell us that, do this, don't do this. Why the heck are you wasting your time in this? And that teacher would pass, what would we do? Yo, Tallavali. He is a pain. So if he is walking this corridor, though it is little elaborate and long distance, I will go in the other corridor. Right? Yeah. Vairagya to him. If Viveka is strong, it should necessarily reflect as dispassion, Vairagya. Vairagya is not something that which can be enacted. What will happen if you enact your Vairagya? It will be like all the diet courses that you all do. Where we have included a cheat day officially. Every 4 days once I will have a chocolate pudding with vanilla ice cream and maple syrup drizzled on the top of it. Cheat day special. I am dieting, Swamiji, but today is my cheat day. If there is enough Viveka, distractions are minimal. I know, I understand, and therefore there is no wobbly nature of my mind any further. If the mind is still wobbling, being distracted with those things that stop me from growing, from being positive, from being productive, what does it mean? My Vairagya is weak, which indicates my Viveka is questionable. That it is no more Viveka, it is only expressing Aviveka. We know we should not get angry. We know we should not feel jealous. We know, we teach those topics. What is that particular grade where we teach the 20 values? 10th grade? 10th grade is not values. No. Arey Baba, 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 20 values. I am not talking of 24 gurus. 20 सुन लिया तो 24 गुरु को भी लपेट लेंगे क्या? स्पेसिफिकली पूछ रहा हूं, 13th चैप्टर 20 वैल्यूज, विच ग्रेड? No, then they are teaching wrong syllabus. If 13th chapter 20 values, it is specifically for 5th grade. अमानित्वम अदम्भित्वम अहिंसा क्षान्तिरार्जवम आचार्योपासनम शौचम. So that particular syllabus for 5th grade. So we introduce at the 5th grade itself. We teach that mana, dambha, these things are not right. But as adults, कितनी किचपिच करते हैं हम लोग. करते हैं कि नहीं? Mana, mana meaning egotism. Whether we are talking our relationship with our relatives, with our neighbors, with our friends, थोड़ा सा भी लगे that I have been neglected, पता नहीं क्या समझते हैं, I will not go there anymore. And next day come Balavihar, amanitvam adambitvam. We teach that topic. If vairagya is not seen, it means it is aviveka in display. So what do we have to do? Strengthen our viveka. How does that viveka get strengthened again? When we become subtle observers of our own self. That is called swadhyaya. Swadhyaya has two meanings. One generic meaning of it is self-study. You change the samasa in it, it is study of the self. Swasya adhyayanam. And be the best critique of yourself. And how to fix it. It is not the physical strength, it is the mental strength that one has to develop. That this is the pattern that I have been existing in, repetitively doing the same dumb things again and again and again. I know it for myself. I don't need the world to come and tell me you're dumb. I know where I'm making mistakes. Okay, maybe I'm talking about myself. Do we know that we make mistakes, same mistakes again and again? Do we recognize it? So it's not like we don't know where we are going wrong. And yet we land up the same place again and again. That is called punarabhijananam, punarapimaranam. You don't need to wait for death to happen to have another birth. Every time we make a mistake is a death. Why do we end up being in that same space? Probably Swamiji. By meditating, I think I can fix it. Hey Baba. It is not Kailash Jivan that you apply it everywhere. Or it is not a Jinda talisman that is like, one shot for every situation. It has to come back to Viveka. Therefore, you will see, if there is an environment of puja, rituals and you have to go participate in it, you will find a greater number of crowd. Pranayama, yoga, asanas, you will find a greater crowd. Because the onus is only manipulating the external. But if it is to manage the internal, it requires a lot of courage. Lot of stamina to be tenaciously working on it. Because that internal balance is the most easy thing to flip. Knowingly, we make the same mistakes again and again. I have asked this several times, I'll ask again. From your house to here, if you have to take a freeway, freeways have exits, right? Once it happened, I was in North Dakota. I was in those days where the GPS could not say take a U-turn. It would say turn left and now follow straight. जो गार्मिन के बड़े डब्बे होते थे, so I used to carry it every place, put it in the rental. I was in North Dakota and I missed the exit. The next exit, so pampered in Texas. Why? Exits are every mile. I thought अगले exit में ले लूँगा. The next exit was 30 miles down the lane. It's like single road. There is a ditch in between, then there is the single road going the other direction. There was such an itch. कहीं पे gap दिखे तो उतर के चढ़ जाऊं उस side. But it was a rental car. I didn't want to take risks. While I was beating myself up, I end up behind 6-7 cars because the vehicle in front of them is a tractor. For 30 miles at a 60-mile speed range, that fellow was going 35. Can you understand the frustration? So here you are taking. How many times do you think you can allow yourself make a mistake of missing the exit of your regular route? I am not being judgmental here. I am giving you the opportunity to judge yourself. How many times is it okay to miss the exit? Every Sunday you come to Saket, supposing you are taking PGBT, you have to take Preston as an exit, you miss. How many times will you think that it is okay for you to miss that exit? How many Sundays? 2? Okay. When it was honest. इस साइड में 3? No, एक बार तो हो चुका है, तो 2. एक बार. What happens if you make the same mistake the 30th week? Dang it, I missed the exit again. I'll go now to the next exit and then come back. Every Sunday, dang it. That only increases the frustration. What would you call yourself if you are missing the exit 30th time, 40th time? Therefore, Adi Shankaracharya ji calls such ones as Moodha Mate. Do you know the root word for Moodha? Moodha means foolish, stupid, idiotic. What is the root word for Moodha? The root word for Moodha is Muha. Muha, Mohane. Delusion. Who makes mistakes? The one who is deluded. Why are they deluded? Absence of Viveka. If Viveka is strong, see, the basics are forgotten. Without the basics in place, if we start attempting the advanced stuff, what will happen? Frustration. Nothing seems to work. Nothing seems to be beneficial. Why? The preparation itself was not strong. See, most of the houses, I don't know if you have constructed a house in India, you have to dig a foundation, lay down the pillars inside, and then the foundation on the top of it, then the foundation slab on the top of it, house or building structure. To hold a single one in the pillar, there is a bulb, a pier system which is established. If you are anticipating 4, 5, so it will go deeper and you will have those bulbs. Like you will expand it so that the cement is anchoring in. Versus the houses here. First time I saw, my jaw dropped. There is no digging. There is just laying down 9-inch. Literally 9-inch. And once the floor settles, invariably there will be cracks all over the place. Foundation issues. No, that they call foundation, or the lack of it. that 9-inch foundation issue, because the earth has settled. One side it is settled too fast, the other side must have moisture, so it is not settling in. So that weight, it cracks. You have to fix that again. You know, the joy of having a new house. By 4th, 5th year, you will understand. Apartment hi theek tha yaar. I did not have to run around doing all of this. All that I had to do was a call and be done. Flooring crack, walls crack, ceiling crack. All this because of lack of foundation. If there is a multi-layered building and if the foundation is weak, what will happen to the building? It will collapse. So what is the first foundation that has to be laid out? That our Viveka should be strong. We discriminate. Amma? That's why you need that foundation. Irrespective of that, if the cracks have to be stopped, your foundation must be deep. The taller the building, the deeper the foundation. The simple rule of civil engineering, construction engineering. Very simple premise. It is irrespective of the environment. You have to study the environment and make sure that my foundation, knowing this environment, has to be deeper. I cannot keep blaming that the environment is forcing me to be like what I am. Dig deeper. The environment is given. You need tenacity, you need strength, you need courage, but you have to build it up also. You cannot say I am predisposed by it or lack of it. So, irrespective of the environment, one has to dig deep to create that. That courage, that strength has to be generated. Ours is the philosophy where we do not blame the parents for wrongly raising the kids. We give the example of Prahlada. That there was one Prahlada who was very badly treated by his biological father. He did not turn up to a psych ward saying, I had a, what do you call that abuse? Child abuse. In fact, he was such a brilliant young boy that when Bhagavan asked him repeatedly, what kind of boon do you want? He said, Bhagavan, I don't care about the rest of the world, but at least in your eyes, can you forgive my father? For only one reason. If he had not done probably what he has done, I would not have had this opportunity to meet you. If all his atrocities have led me to meet you, then I call that as Satsang. He did not blame the environment. He made sure he was stronger to face that environment. And that onus is on us to build for ourselves. We cannot say it as environment or prarabdha, my fate, my stars. In the Jyotisha Shastra, the very first 3 shlokas, Brahmavacha, Brahmaji is saying that though these readings can give you a read into how the effects will be, but nothing past Purushartha, Purushartha can beat all of these odds. Purushartha, Swaprayatna. So one has to focus on that Viveka. How do I know I am established in Viveka? While awake, interacting with the world, I have Vairagya. When you yourself have experienced it, you are busy in something. Usually your day doesn't start without a coffee, but that thing you were so busy and engaged in it that not even a thought of coffee occurred. Why? Your commitment because of your Viveka to that particular task was so deep that there was not even a thought of distraction. Otherwise you get headaches of not having coffee. But that day was unique. Why was it unique? Because your inspiration that you drew from your own commitment, which was clear clarity that that task is important, Viveka was important, Vairagya was automatic. Has it not happened? Now for us many times it is a mistake. By mistake it has happened. Can it be repeatable? That is called sadhana. To make it as a regular habitual process of living is called sadhana. But it requires that commitment and effort. We need quick fixes. I mean, you may take it as a joke, but it is a reality for me. That many times people come and say, Swamiji, touch my head so that your energy can go in and I can find that strength. Oh, if that was a possibility, I'll put both my hands, both my legs on my own head. Why on your head? It is not something that can be borrowed from outside, it is something that has to be developed from inside. Then comes the Shamadamadi Shadguna Sampatti. Shama, Dama, Uparama, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhanam. It's not optional. You go to Patel Brothers and there is enough, lots of vegetables. I pick and choose. Ye आधा किलो, वो पाव किलो, वो. And then I bring home. No, these are not optional. They are all mandatory. As much as Shama is required, that much Dama is required, that much Uparama is required, that much Titiksha is required. One is not a substitute for the other. But in order to have that Shama, Dama, Uparama, Titiksha, distractions should not be taking over. It means Vairagya should be strong. For the Vairagya to be strong, the Viveka should be strong. For the Viveka to have well anchored system, it should be rooted in values. Now such a fine, I'll come back to Shamadamadi. Such a fine-tuned system, selflessly when does work, that is called Karma Yoga attitude. In and through every walk of life. यहाँ तो लोग टाइटल देने पे लगे हुए हैं. Karma Yogi. Yeah, just because they have done one particular act of their life as seva doesn't make them Karma Yogi. This fine-tuned system, which is well established in Viveka, Vairagya, Shamadamadi, Shat Sampatti, when offers dedicatedly every single act of their life to the highest altar, which is Bhagavan, selflessly doing it without seeking any limelight or appreciation, because that is my responsibility to do so. What is the reward? There are no rewards. But if you fail at it, there are repercussions of it. Knowing that, still dedicatedly doing it, such one finds stability. Imagine if all the factors of the outside are pulling you, ripping you apart from all different directions. Inside there is no Viveka, and thereby there is no strength, courage and tenacity. What will happen? Every step is a slippery slope. Therefore, Adhikara Nirnaya is a necessity. Without this Adhikara Nirnaya, even like practices of yoga asanas and pranayama will not find benefit. There is breathing that has to be regulated, has to be including of that mantra. While doing that particular posture, the inhalation and exhalation have to be regulated. Of which person? The person who has yama and niyama. वरना होता क्या है? Monday to Thursday or Friday afternoon तक busy with frustrating whatever job responsibilities. Friday evening एक दिन मिलता है यार, तो चढ़ा लिया ऊपर, Or every evening, settle down with a glass of, and then Sunday, Swami ji, meditation सिखाओ. नहीं होता. Irregulated sleep pattern, irregulated food pattern, unhealthy practices, all vices included. Do one matha teko namaskar, chamatkar expected, nothing will happen. It's a very, very methodical step-by-step process of re-evaluating, rehauling entire life process. That's why I keep using the word commitment. Then you put it into practice, you will see it flower and blossom with its fragrance. All those tiny tweaks are not done. I want quick fixes. Swami ji, put your hand. कुछ नहीं होता यार. See, there are three elements. I'll quickly wrap the thought. Me, the subject, the world, the object, and the interaction between me and the world to be smooth. Some things in life where I can move and manage the outside, but most of it cannot be moved. It has its own pace, it has its own rhythm, it has its own ways of functioning. If your interaction with it has to be texturally satisfying at the end of the day, it's not the world that has to change. It's I that have to change. It's I who have to grow beyond my moha to not act out like a mudha, for which my viveka and vairagya should be my two sturdy pillars. Now, what are the strengthening pillars? See, there are so many beams in this hall, right? This one and that in the back, they are called load bearing. Rest of them are supporting. The load bearing is Vivek and Vairagya. What are the supporting pillars? Shamadamadi Shat Sampatti. That we will see next week. Om Shant Shant Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.